Welcome back. After a divorce, co-parenting can seem like a daunting task, but it's key to your child's well-being to do it in a positive and healthy way. I'm joined by the founder of the Counseling and Wellness Center of Pittsburgh, Stephanie Wijkstrom, who has some important advice for parents. Thank you so much for joining us.
Of course, thank you for having me.
And you know, we know this impacts so many families, and doing this right can have a long-lasting impact, both positive and negative, on our kids.
Absolutely, yeah.
So let's start first with what you do. What is the Wellness Center?
Yeah, so, well, I'm a licensed professional counselor, and we provide individual, family, and marriage counseling, as well as psychiatric services in 5 locations across the Western PA region.
And can you talk about your background with co-parenting?
Yeah, so I have been focused on promoting relationship wellness. I've written a book on the topic, and you know, it remains my clinical focus. Most of the time, I'm helping couples to you know, build up their relationship and prevent divorce. However, there are times when a couple decides that divorce is where they need to be, so we also can help to uncouple
As well. So let's talk about that initial, very hard first step, and that is talking to your kids about what is about to happen, because this can be shocking news to them. They may not know all of the turmoil that's been going on behind closed doors.
Yeah. And hopefully they don't know.
They don't know, right?
So, we need to take into account development, right? So what developmental stage the child is at is so important in forming that plan for how you're going to break the news. So no matter what age they are, we should never, ever assign blame to any parent. You know, even if one parent is choosing to end the relationship and it's not a mutual decision, we should guard our children from that information.
Right.
And every messaging should include, you know, opportunities and efforts to promote attachment and security, because we're going to anticipate that children are going to be very anxious about you know, a parent leaving the home. So we really must make every effort to encourage and promote those relationships.
And part of this too is once you've gotten through the divorce proceedings, part of this is planning your child's schedule.
Right.
Around making sure they can be with both parents.
Yes.
Talk about that process. I mean, there has to be a conversation with the kids as well.
Yeah, and you know, so ideally we would have lots of conversations and be very amicable and supportive and transparent in scheduling. But there are other times when that's not possible. So technology comes into play. There are some great apps that allow families to plan their schedules, to have conversations that they can even open it up to allowing their attorneys or other people to see the communication to ensure best practice. A really popular one is called Our Family Wizard. So that's something to look at.
So there are resources out there to help guide you through this. Because I think it would be difficult too. I mean, divorce can be very hard on both parties. And if you're not in a comfortable place with a good relationship still standing, it can be hard to proceed in the healthiest way for your kids.
Absolutely, and you know, so most of the time people are going into a divorce with some negative feelings toward the person that they're leaving or being left by, and it's so important to process those feelings with somebody outside of your family, right? Don't rely on your children to coach you through that. Get a therapist, because even friends, well-intended friends, might not always have the best advice.
Right.
So, you know, really allowing the slate to be wiped clean on that previous relationship and now working toward the common good of parenting your children.
There was something specifically that you wanted to talk about. I don't want to get it wrong, but this is essentially, you want to make sure that your kids are able to process this so that later in life they're not reliving through this.
Yeah, it's so significant. And so ACEs.
ACEs. Adverse
Childhood Experiences.
Okay.
And, you know, I think this is really a pandemic that we aren't necessarily aware of. And what it means is something like divorce is an adverse childhood experience. And the more adverse childhood experiences that a child has, the more likely they are to have mental health disorders, to have poor academic performance, and even if they have up to 6 of them, they could die 20 years younger than people who do not. So it's huge, but within that, very scary reality is an opportunity to buffer your children against terrible outcomes, by doing this right.
And you said this could really help to build some strength and resilience in your kids if you do this the right way.
Absolutely, to promote attachment and connection. And I've seen some amazing examples of families who are able to co-parent and really bring in other, future partners and other family members to really create a community of people that love your child.
Well, and you mentioned the adults, the parents talking to therapists, but what about the children? When do you realize that this is harder for them than you thought it was? When should they seek professional help?
Absolutely. So, with very young children, they might not be very aware of their emotions. So you could notice a regression. You could notice they want to sleep in bed with, with their adult parents more. They could have tummy aches or headaches. So somatic complaints are more common with young children, but towards tweens and, younger adolescents, they probably aren't going to want to talk about their feelings, right?
Right.
So, but they can still understand in more abstract terms what it means that their parents are divorcing.
And in a situation like this, is family therapy a good option, or do you think that it's better because, especially as they get a little older, they may be more private about their feelings and emotions, especially talking with their parents?
So there are many forms of therapy that don't include talking. So we offer art therapy, play therapy. There are lots of ways to help process feelings without, necessarily having that kind of traditional therapy experience. But I think any child who is encountering divorce and, they could definitely benefit.
Right. Yeah, it's a lot. And like you said, if we do this the right way, it teaches resilience. If you do it the wrong way, it can create a whole lot of other issues.
For a lifetime.
For a
yes.
lifetime. Stephanie, thank you so much for your advice and guidance. I know this is not an easy topic for a lot of families who are going through it, so thank you.
Thank you.